Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Erin Mack. I am one of the financial aid advisors here at St. Edward's University. There are 7 of us, miscounting, but normally we're located in the main building, room 204. We are all working remotely due to the pandemic, but we do take turns being on campus. So there's always a financial aid advisor in person. If you have any questions that you prefer not to answer or ask by email. Right now, through the next couple of weeks, we're officing out of the admissions office on the first floor of main building. We're going to be moving to some new offices because we had a lot of building damage in the snowpocalypse, as people are calling it. So for now, email is the best way to reach us. We can make phone appointments. We definitely are doing in-person appointments through Zoom and by phone. So we still are absolutely working and available for you. And I'll go over our contact information later in the presentation. But for now, I want to go ahead and get started on this. I'm probably going to stop my video because watching myself talk is a little distracting. And I want to be able to focus on the content here. And I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So I appreciate you all being here as we talk about budgeting, using credit wisely, and saving for the future. So one reason you're here is because you must know that money management is important. But why? What is it that grabs your attention? Managing your money helps you spend wisely so that you can pay your bills. Very important. You want to make sure your lights stay on and food in your belly stays full. You want to make sure that you have enough money to buy what you need and make decisions about what you want. Sometimes needs and wants can get a little blurry, but I think in the end of the day, we know what needs are and we know what wants are, but sometimes it's tough. The other thing that happens when you spend your money wisely is that you can save money, short-term and long-term savings. Short-term might be anything in a year. Maybe you know that you're going to need new tires for your car. That's something you probably want to save for in the next 6 months or a year, depending on how long it's been since you bought tires. Maybe you know that your computer is getting on its last legs and you know you're going to need an upgrade or need to get a new one. And then there's long-term savings. Maybe you know that you are going to be living off campus and you're going to need to save up for a deposit for your apartment. That would be a little bit maybe short-term savings. Long-term savings might be you're going to save up to buy a car. Or eventually you're going to save up because you're going to need to be, retiring someday. For you, that's so far away, but you can do short-term under a year. Maybe long-term savings at this stage in your life is maybe 5 years. Long-term would be when you're out of college, you're working and you're looking at, buying a house, retirement, that kind of jazz. To that point, savings goals are going to change as your life changes. When you're in your late teens and in your 20s, your needs are different from when you're in your 40s and when you're in your 60s. So, but you always want to be looking ahead for what your needs are going to be and make sure that what you're buying, your wants, is not taking away from savings that you're going to need later. And of course, when you spend wisely and manage your money, you can avoid financial hardships, such as using credit cards for non-emergencies. You don't want to have to put things like groceries on your credit card or gas on your credit card, because it's just you're gonna be paying on it long after you've used that goods or service. You don't want to have to borrow money from your friends and family. I mean, if you're in a crisis, of course they want to help you, but you really don't want to avoid getting into that situation if you can help it. And for your future buying power, you don't want to damage your credit or your credit score. We're going to go into what those mean in just a few minutes. So let's define spending wisely a little bit more. One of the easiest things that you can do is get into the habit of paying yourself first. Economists will say just start by saving 10% of your income. If you only work 5 to 10 hours a week, you only make maybe $100 a week, and you're saving, what am I saving, 10 bucks? 10 bucks, really? Yeah, save it. It's a habit, and habits are much, much easier to start if you start small and manageable. I'm reading a book right now called Atomic Habits, and it's about baby steps essentially. So saving 10% of your income, if you get used right now to living on 90% of your spending money, and saving 10%, it's just a habit that you want to create so it maintains a habit. And then as you earn more and you're better at managing your money, maybe that can bump up to 15 or 20% of your income. But just don't do it because the effort is small. The small efforts are what really make big changes. Tracking your spending, saving your receipts and reviewing all that weekly so that you can see, what am I spending my money on? If you ever have that thought of like, oh my gosh, I just got paid and it's gone, or I don't remember spending that much. I saw a meme that said, if you stack up all your receipts, it makes a tiny little book about why you're broke. So, and that's a good way of thinking, what am I spending it on? Well, you can look at your bank statement, you can look at your receipts. That's where it went. If you feel like you're running out of money for groceries, because maybe you're going out to eat too much, or you don't have enough money for gas at the end of the week because maybe you're spending a bit too much on other things. So, and we'll go into moving that money around. Not spending more than you have to is shopping wisely. Shopping at discount stores. It doesn't have to be used, but there's nothing wrong with thrifting, certainly not. But discount stores, if you need new shoes, try Marshalls first rather than buying something online. That's just and it's a need. Do you need new shoes or do you want new shoes? And the golden rule, of course, don't spend more than you have. That means use what's in your bank account, not your credit card. Save up for the nice new shoes or nice bag that you want. Don't put it on a credit card. Saving up for higher price purchases, got ahead of myself. And setting your goals. If you have some money goals or there's something that you want to buy, this kind of goes back to that pay yourself first. Make sure your goals are simple, effective, and flexible. Setting your goals too high, just because that seems, it might be too ambitious. Not that you're not capable of it, but you've got to build that muscle, just like exercising or eating better, anything that we know is good for us. We got to take baby steps so we build up our confidence and our ability. So one way to spend wisely is to create a budget. There are dozens, maybe even hundreds of online tools for this. You can start with just a piece of paper, an Excel sheet. You can download some budget tools. Many of them are free. Some of them cost, but honestly, you can't go better with just an Excel spreadsheet and looking at your information. Start with your income. That might be your part-time job. It might be money that your parents give you every month. When I was a freshman in college, I had $200 a month that I was given, and whatever else I needed, I had to work. So, whatever it is, whatever your needs are, start with your income. And this is also good when you're working and you're an adult and you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s. This is how you make a budget. Doesn't matter your age or your income. Write everything and put it into categories. Rent. How much is your rent? Utilities, how much you spend on utilities, how much are you spending on food, your car. This can be maintenance or gas or bus or anything. How much are you spending on clothing and entertainment? How much are you spending on medical or savings? Savings should be a budget item. Remember, saving 10% or other. So this is, at first, just start tracking your spending. Don't worry about reducing it at first. Just track it. And that way you can really see what you're spending and know how you have to make adjustments. Reviewing it every month. Let's say that you decide you're going to do a no spend week, or you're going to do a no restaurant week. Baby steps. That'll be the key. And remember that every dollar has a job. There is a one budgeting technique called the $0, and that you want to make sure your income equals your expenses. And remember, I'm going to drill this into you guys. Savings are part of your expenses. Expenses doesn't have to mean money going out into the world. It can just mean that dollar has a job. So if you're earning $100 a week at a part-time job, $10 is going into savings. A portion is set aside for rent and all this. So I think you'll see where I'm going with this. Income equals expenses. So when that doesn't happen and every dollar does not have a job, including savings, If your income is more than your expenses and you're feeling really restricted, or you know that you've got a specific thing that you need to save up for, maybe you put a little bit more into savings so you can save up for that new laptop, or save up for new tires that you know you're going to have, or your car insurance is coming up. You could save more, which is wonderful. You could also do something like, you can get your best friend, take them out to dinner, maybe a nicer restaurant for their birthday or something. You could do a treat yourself, but just making sure you're being modest. Now, what a lot of us find ourselves in is with income is less than expenses. That's when you have to start making some choices. Essentially, you can decrease spending or increase your income. It's not always possible to increase your income. You don't want to, at this stage in your life, you don't want to compromise your academics by working too much, so that you're tired, or you're not taking care of yourself, or you're not taking care of your studies. So maybe it's time to decrease spending. So just look and see what you have. And again, try different things weekly, try different things monthly. A budget should be fluid and changing as your needs change. So here's a sample budget. It's very simplified. I based this on average rent. If you have a roommate, I've lived in Austin for a very long time. I know there's $800 in rent. It's not easy to come by, but if you have a roommate, it's much more manageable. I also based this on a modest monthly income. This one happens to be tax-free because I'm not getting that much detail. So let's say you work 40 hours a week. You make $10 an hour, so you're making $1,600 a month. Half of that is going to rent. Ideally, as you go through your life, economists say you would really like to have rent be no more than 30% of your income. That's where savings comes in, rent and mortgage. But again, getting ahead of myself. Sample budget: rent $800 a month, auto $50, gas, maintenance, insurance, cell phone. Maybe you're on a shared plan; it's $50 a month. This person's utilities, that includes electricity, water, internet, about 100. Groceries, about $250 a month, which is on a good budget. Dining out, maybe 100. Entertainment, clothing, and shoes, another 85. So you'll notice I didn't put savings on here. That was deliberate because I wanted to show you guys. Total expenses, $1,435. So in this case, income minus expenses is $165. So if your monthly income is $1,600, what's 10% of that? $160. So based on this budget, they could easily be saving $160 a month and just putting it into a savings account. You don't have to worry about investing or what it's doing or performing. Just get in the habit of saving, and then you can start to work on what you're going to do with it. I had a question pop up that's relevant to here. Said, when I say $30 a month for rent, gross or net, that would be your individual portion. And that may, again, at this stage in your life, that might not be realistic, but as you are working full time, and you're either managing your own expenses, or you have a roommate or spouse, you ideally want to have your rent or mortgage be between 30 and 50% of your income. That way you don't turn into this house poor situation where you can't afford to have a life because you're paying so much. So when you say gross or net, I'm going to interpret that to mean your portion. Your portion of the rent should be about 30 to 50% of your income. Tell me if that does not answer your question, and I'll clarify. And that does bring a good point that I forgot to mention. If you do have questions, please pop it in the Q&A, and we'll get to that. So we're going to move quickly over into credit and debt. So what is credit? I'm going to let y'all read that. I'm going to take a sip of water. Credit is the ability to obtain goods or services before you pay for them, based on the trust that payment will be made in the future. It determines if and how much money you can borrow for a car, for a house, for a boat, for whatever. It also is subject to an interest rate. Interest means that you buy it today and you pay more tomorrow. Debt is money that is owed or due in the future. When you buy something on credit, it means you get the thing. It means you get the car, the computer, the TV, before you actually pay in full on it. And you can take it home with you, but you're going to pay more than the sticker price. because you're going to pay interest on that. Some of these things that you can go into debt for might be temporary, might be food, clothing, or a vehicle. These things may not last until you're done paying for them, particularly if it's food. As soon as you eat that meal, you're going to still be paying for it long after that food has done its job. Clothing and vehicle, hopefully those will last longer, but they are going to lose value. Things that are long-term or gain value that you go into debt for, such as real estate or a student loan, those are seen as investments. There's something that should last longer than the payments. And that's something that it will either gain value, like real estate or your education, ideally, or it's just going to outlast the payments. Necessities or intangibles are other sometimes things that you'll go into debt for, such as medical surgery or dental treatment surgery. Those are things that you just might need. And you can't put those off, but it'd be nice if you could save up to help pay for part of it. Or if you have some savings and you have to get on a payment plan, you're going to be okay. You can fulfill some of your other needs while you're making payments on those things. And of course, there are also experiences, travel or vacation are things that came to my mind of things that you do that are costly. You might go into debt to pay for, but again, make sure that it's something you can roll into and you can manage that debt. It's just be mindful. So credit has an effect on milestones throughout your life. You're going to, if you apply for a credit card, buy a house, buy a car, how you manage your debt determines how creditworthy you are and maybe how much interest you're going to pay. If you're buying a car right now, the interest is super low. Buying a house, it's super low. But if you don't have good credit, you're going to be charged more interest because you're more of a risk. The people who are owning the car and giving it and letting you buy it from them might say, I don't know if they're going to make those payments on time, so we're going to have them pay a little bit more. So the benefits of establishing good credit means that lower interest means ultimately you're paying less interest and less over sticker price. Car loans, car insurance, mortgage, travel, medical debt, all of these things benefit from good credit because ultimately you'll pay more manageable amounts. Graduate, law, and medical schools often want you to show good credit because you're going to need loans to get through those institutions. Unless you get a killer fellowship, which they're out there, but they are very competitive. So it's not a guarantee. But if you're going to take out loans for those advanced schools, and your undergraduate as well, but we don't run your credit for most of that kind of stuff. But you need a cosigner because you're building credit. So it all factors in. And employers more and more are running credit just because they're evaluating your good judgment and your common sense and your being responsible on whether you can manage your money. So how do you build credit? These are the 5 major factors that affect your credit score. Now, your credit score, I think it's easy to understand, it's your financial version of your GPA. If you're over 18 and you have any types of bills in your name, you can find out what your credit score is. If you haven't really taken on any of these items to establish credit, you may not have a credit score, but you're going to start to. As soon as you're over 18, you're an adult for finances and legal purposes, so this will be coming up. So how you establish credit is by having a cell phone or utilities in your name, having student loans in your name, perhaps even having a credit card or being an authorized user on a parent's credit card. So anything that references your name, your birth date, and your social security number, that's what makes up your identity for the fact of tracking all of this stuff. As you move into making financial decisions, the websites I have listed here, myfico.com and annualcreditreport.com, those are the primary source for finding out how you're doing financially, how you're going to be evaluated. There are a lot of other programs. Sometimes banks will give you a free credit score just, for membership. But if you need to look at anything in detail, this is where you go. So the factors, those establishing credit, cell phone, utilities, loans, the primary thing that determines your credit score is payment history. Are you late on your monthly payments? Do you pay your cell phone bill late? Are you going to make your student loan payments late? That's a third of it right there. Paying what you're supposed to pay on time. And just like your GPA is based on, passing your class, it's the basic expectation. You're supposed to go to class and pass your courses. You're supposed to pay your bills on time. And that's what's expected. The other third of that at the bottom of the circle, outstanding debt. How much do you owe compared to your income and compared to how much room you have on your credit card? If you have a credit card that allows you to spend $5,000 and that's the max you can, quote unquote, borrow on that credit card, and you always have it very close to that, you're not managing that debt maybe as well as they would hope. You should have some breathing room in how much debt you get into. It's also very assuring that if you ever have an emergency and you need to get home, get, somewhere, get back from somewhere, have a car repair, you've got enough credit to take care of those emergencies and pay it off over the next, few months, not few years, few months. So outstanding debt is also compared to your income. If you have a lot of debt compared to, and you're of a more modest income, it looks like you're kind of burning the candle at both ends. Length of credit, account age, and type of credit. These are all related to each other. Length of credit means how long you've been using, balancing, managing credit, starting from, early 20s. And it, again, they're all relative and it all fluctuates. Type of credit refers to those things listed on the screen. We could also throw in there, a car loan eventually, but these are things that you pay as you go, like a cell phone, and utilities. Student loans is a debt that you pay off within a finite period of time, usually a 10-year period. A car loan is like that also. You usually pay it off within 3 to 5 years and you have a loan for those number of months. A credit card is what's called revolving debt. It just keeps rolling into the future until you pay it off. So it's having all these different types of debt that you're managing. And account age. This refers to, do you have your one credit card that you've had and that you've been a signatory? Maybe you started off as an authorized user for your parents, and then now you have it on your own. And you've had it for a long time and you show that you've been maintaining it well, versus do you get a credit card every time you go into a store? You got an Old Navy card, you got a Target card, you got a card for, discount tire credit card. Like, do you have a lot of different pieces of credit and they're all very new? You've got a potential of going to a lot of debt. So just, they're saying, are you being reasonable with the amount of debt compared to your income? And you're able to manage it. It's all about managing that money. Oh, and we're done. So we've got plenty of time for questions. This is your financial aid staff. We are, like I said, we're all working from home. So we're all here, Monday through Friday for you. Email is the best way to reach us at the moment, because we are all working remotely. So you can see all of our email addresses there. There is a Calendly appointment setter. You can get through it through the Student Financial Services website, or you can email us and we'll send you a link. But we're available for phone, Zoom, Google Chat appointments. The phone numbers listed on this slide right now are for our office number. We check that several times a week, so you would just be able to leave a voicemail and we'll call you back. I would recommend email since we're on that all day. And if you do want to meet us in person, Zoom would probably be best, but again, we all rotate being on campus. So I'm on campus next week, I think on Friday. So I think it's 2 to 3 days a month. We're all on campus. So if you did just want to come up and see us in person, typically we'll want to meet outside if the weather's, pleasant enough. But we're all, still masking up on campus. So if you need that, that's how you reach us. Main building, again, not room 204 right now. So, because everything's weird. And then our virtual front desk, there's always someone available Monday through Friday, 9 to noon. That's just an open Zoom call. So you can log in through here, pop in, ask a student accounts question or a financial aid question. If you're not sure specifically who you want to talk to, you just want someone to answer, you can get to that email, seu.finaid@stedwards.edu. There's our website. And if you're interested in visiting campus, if I'm talking to any prospective students here, we are doing in-person campus tours. We are limiting groups to 10 or fewer people, not families, just 10 or fewer individuals. And we do require that you wear a mask on campus. It's an outside only tour. We're not going in the buildings, but we are giving on campus tours from our students. And now I definitely want to open it up to any questions you guys have. I'm pretty open to just whatever, going over any of this information that you guys might want, and I can let's see. Oh, good one. Okay, first question. Is it true that checking those credit score websites will affect your credit score? Yes and no, which is a fantastic answer, isn't it? So you checking your own credit score has a much less effect than someone who is wanting to extend credit to you. You are allowed to check. So I'm going to get a little bit into the weeds here. So checking your credit score and checking your credit history. So if your score is your GPA, your credit history is your transcript. So there are 3 agencies called Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Those are 3 agencies that build and collect all of your financial credit data. You are allowed to get a credit report from each of those agencies once a year for free. I check each of them every 4 months because I'm a nerd and I like doing this stuff. It makes me happy. So, which is why I'm doing this, I'm doing this workshop. So, I keep it somewhere. I don't have it in front of me, but one in January, one in May, one in December. So I make sure I'm looking at each of them annually. Your credit score, it's free to look at. It takes a itty bitty dip on your score, but honestly, it's not anything that you should be concerned about unless you're checking it weekly, and there's no need to check it weekly. You could check it once a year. You could check it only before you're about to go apply for a credit card. You could check it once every 2 years. If you have had a history of using credit a lot and you're building up to maybe going and buying a car or buying a house and you want to make sure you're in a good standing, maybe check it about 6 months before you start that process. I hope that answers your question. If not, please let me know and I'll refine my answer. What credit cards are good options for students with limited income? If you are under 21, you need to have someone co-sign or co-authorize use of a credit card. So I would start with a parent. Hopefully parents have good to great credit. You can become an authorized user on one of their credit cards and kind of piggyback on that until you're 21, and then you can get a card on your own. I would start with your bank. Your bank or your credit union that you use for your checking and savings, they probably have a credit card. I would start there because they've already got your money. They're probably going to give you a better rate. And you're probably going to have a rather modest limit, maybe $500 to $1,000, which is good. Even if you need a learning curve, it's a very small learning curve. It's a little baby roller coaster. You're not going to get into a big disaster and have, it's like driving, very slow at first when you start. But if you're under 21, you have to get someone to let you sign on to their use. Then after that, start with your bank. And then you can start, once you get more comfortable with it, you could start looking at different reward cards. There are different reward cards depending on how good your credit is. Maybe you are someone who knows that you want to travel, so you want to get a credit card that has a lot of travel points. I have a family member who travels extensively, and she has a credit card through an airline. And so all of her purchases go towards miles. It's an airline Visa card, and she uses it like any other credit card, but she earns a lot of airline points. My credit card that I use earns up like 2% cash back on any purchases I have. So I'm still modest about it because I don't want to give myself the impression I have more money in my bank account than I do, but I try to charge stuff on there, gas, groceries, which I pay off at the end of the month because I'm earning cash back on it. So those are great cards to have once you know that you can manage your spending on there. How to advise you get out of debt. This could be a bigger question, it might be good for you to contact your financial aid advisor, because if you are really in debt, there might be some resources in the community that we can refer you to. The best way to get out of debt is to stop spending over your basic needs. Baby step down if you have to, but one, restrain your spending, and just put yourself on a spending diet as best you can. A credit she asks, would you say a debt consolidation loan? If you're in a real bind, like if you are, hugely in debt, that's an option. If you are in your 20s or school, would caution you against that. There's so many variables to this question. I fear saying too much in this format. I would say a debt consolidation was an absolute last resort, unless you are in a very particularly high debt situation. Is it difficult to get out of credit card debt with high interest? Yes. And the reason I say yes so quickly is because credit cards are designed to take your money from you. That's their ease of purchase, but the whole reason of interest is so people are making money off of your debt. There are ways you can do it, and it is a baby steps, roll the snowball down the hill so that it gets there. I would very much appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about your situation. If you're comfortable reaching out to me, and if I can give you some general advice, and then I can also connect you with someone that might be able to help you in ways that are beyond my level of expertise. If you feel comfortable, please email me, because I would like to help. And I don't feel like I can give you the best advice without knowing a little bit more. And I don't want you to put it in this format. So, end of my soapbox, please call me, because I'd like to help better direct you. And we have one more question. Can you build credit by making big purchases with a credit card? You can build credit by making little purchases with a credit card. I use my credit card for gas. Right now, not using much gas, and I have a small car. That's $30 a month, that I'm doing. So, oh, Boo Bear, I'm almost done. Okay, that's my son. He just turned 5. He's gonna, okay.
Okay, baby.
Here, I'll be right out, okay? Yes, you can have your headphones back. There you go.
But he can't take them outside.
Correct. Yes.
Baby, you cannot take them
Okay,
outside.
thanks, guys. Can you build credit by making big purchases? Yes, but I would advise you start with baby stuff. If you're really new to using credit cards, make a point that you're just gonna buy gas, or maybe groceries, something that you need that you'd be buying anyway. That way you can make sure that you get into the habit of paying it off every month. Once you feel like you've got a handle on it and you aren't overspending, because here's the deal: if you've got a certain number of dollars in your bank account and you spend $100 at the grocery store, but instead of spending that, you charge it. Well, in your mind, you still got $500 in your bank account, but your mind need to go, no, you're gonna have to pay that credit card bill at the end of the month. You only have 400. It looks like 5, but truly it's 4, because you've got a debt that you must pay. So if you get good at managing that and not overspending, leaving enough to pay that credit card bill at the end of the cycle, at the end of the month, and you do that for a while, you're aces, you're good. You can build. So I think by big purchases, the first thing that came to mind was like buying an appliance, like a TV or a laptop, because a lot of times you can buy those on credit. You can go to the Apple store, you can buy it online, you go to Best Buy and get a TV or a refrigerator or whatever. You get a credit card through them or through your bank, and you use your personal credit card. But I was just thinking of when I bought a TV at Best Buy, it was like interest free for 2 years. Well, that's manageable, and it was easier at the time for me. Now I was 40 when I did this, so I was very confident in my ability to manage this. But I paid it off in a year and a half, and I got to pay it slowly, with no interest. So that worked out really well. But again, just make sure you build up your confidence and your ability to pay debt without sacrificing other things that you need to get. I would start with small things and just make sure you're managing your money. And then when you feel like you have enough income to pay for that thing, but that is a very slippery slope, because I'll pay it off consider. And if you only make the minimum payment, you're going to be paying that for 7 years and you're going to pay double the purchase price. It's just, and that's how so many of us, and ask me how I know, because I did it. And I have learned, so I don't do it anymore. But if I can save you guys from going into debt in your 20s and using your 30s to pay it off, then I am so stinking happy with myself. But you don't want to go into debt in your 20s and spend your 30s paying it off, and then you don't get to start saving for your future till your 40s. I would like you to manage your money in your 20s so you can start saving up for your future in your 30s and 40s. Believe me, your 40-year-old self will be very grateful for that. um yes, I guess I'm not done with my soapbox. There we go. So those were excellent questions that you guys had. We're about 12:35. I think we're supposed to go to 12:30, but y'all are still here, and I'm grateful for that. If there's any other questions, y'all please pipe in. If you have a more personal question and you'd like to reach out to me or your financial aid advisor, we're very happy to receive that information. Sometimes it might just be you're not sure where to start, and we're a resource for you, and hopefully we're someone that you know and trust. We will keep your information confidential if that's what you prefer, but we can also help you figure out where to go to get some answers if we can't provide them for you. We can certainly answer any questions or guidance when it comes to your loans for school, or questions about future schooling. And we've all been there. We've all had our financial journey, so we can help you just from our own experience and just knowing good places to go for resources. If we don't have any more questions, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. I'm so grateful for your attention and your attendance today, and I hope this has been beneficial for you. Enjoy the rest of your wellness day and take care of each other, and please reach out if we can help. Thanks, everybody.